Alright, so you've watched my previous video talking about what's happening in the finals, and as I promised, I mentioned what features I like to see in the game, either shortly or eventually. So basically I decided to make a video on what the finals would look like in 2025. Now some of you might do that whole joke and be like, yeah, but say if the game doesn't last that long comment, but all I'm doing is I'm just here to throw, some ideas and discuss things with you guys that we spoke about together in the comment section. So again, feel free to talk about, some ideas in this one too. Obviously I'm more than happy to answer and talk about that. One major talking point that keeps coming up to me is the anti-cheat system. Yes, we all want to jump into a game confident that we're playing on a level playing field, free from cheaters taking an unfair advantage. But what realistic steps can Embark take that titans like Valve with, very deep pockets haven't already tried? Well, the standout suggestion from many of you when we're talking is, ramping up to a kernel-side anti-cheat system, similar to Riot's Vanguard. Reports do suggest that it's doing wonders in games for like Valorant, for example, keeping the cheater complaints down to a minimum compared to other major titles. However, there's a price to pay with that, and that is obviously your privacy. If you don't know about kernel, this type of anti-cheat basically digs deep into your system, potentially accessing more than just your game's files, which obviously, raises big red flags for many players who value their digital privacy. In simple terms, installing something that operates at a kernel level is basically like giving house keys to a guard who's, supposed to keep robbers out. Obviously, it works, but then if that guard that's holding your keys goes rogue, then, the entire anti-cheat system is compromised, and that could obviously lead down the line to serious security breaches. If it works, could that be worth these risks? Another alternative method away from kernel is actually implementing an Overwatch, not the game, right, but the CSGO Overwatch system, where basically players can watch the match of someone's game, and then the community would vote together if that player is cheating or not, possibly with some rewards. First of all, obviously it's very delayed, that cheater can still be playing during the entire time the community's voting, so that's a negative, but again, the tech isn't even in the game yet to support replay modes, and I mean Valorant, after a few years, have only just started talking about adding that feature in after a few years of developing it, and that's a full-fledged esports title. I do see people in the comments saying, well thanks, Embark should just focus on the anti-cheat system instead of putting out skins each week, and guys, you have to realize that there are, teams of departments in a company, right? Not everyone knows how to stop Clara from ruining our game. So if Embark during the downtime do want to share their new skins with us, or maybe improve the networking, performance, or art of the game, it's not going to change anything stopping them from doing their work. Another thing is, when a company says, improved the anti-cheat at the bottom of the patch notes, I personally just completely ignore it and don't take any relevancy to it, because that is very rarely going to make an instant impact in the short term. So this is one of those topics that I just kind of have to leave open, right? I don't have the experience to answer it for you guys, and I'm not afraid to say I don't know. But one thing that I've had recently was actually playing Arma 3, where obviously, there is less cheaters, but there's private community servers, right? Within those private community servers, admins and moderators play the games themselves, obviously, so if there was a player that just decided to join and, start spin botting, for example, in the middle of the warfield, then basically they'd instantly get banned. Okay, so now let's actually start talking about some of the cool stuff that I want to see in the game. This is a topic I really want to talk about, right? So, it's about the finals in 2025 after all, so by the time I would be playing in 2025 and beyond, what would I like to see? Okay, well the first one is obviously going to be community focused. So I feel that the final should basically have its own section in the game. What I'm going to be, for now, temporary name, I'm going to be calling it a community hub, which is basically an area where you, the player, can create your own community profile. This profile would allow you to basically choose tags for yourself. So basically you can do tags if you prefer playing medium, light, heavy, or maybe you prefer flex roll. Or maybe even tag if you are a support player or a frag player, or maybe you can put tags on if you play the game casually or competitively. In this hub, there would be basically what I would call a trophy room, which you can then show off your stats to players looking at your profile and then choose them. For example, you could show off how many sword eliminations you've had, maybe how much you've done in healing per season, or maybe even show off your highest kill game. This would also relate to the grind of playing ranked, right? So in the trophy room, people could choose to display their achievements each season, okay? There might be a special trophy that they could put in there for those that end up in the top 500 and above, but it doesn't have to be, fully competitive focus, right? Maybe you could have your favorite weapon skin on display, or Steam achievements that you've unlocked, for example, to display. I was thinking that you could also have like a fashion room, which basically allows you to show off your favorite outfits, maybe even your profile card, similar to what we have now. You can actually choose certain tags on that and styles that show on eliminations. As you gain more fame in the arena, you can unlock different ways of expressing yourself, right? So maybe, different card shapes, for example, maybe some card effects. But yeah, just small things like that kind of adds to the extra grind for the game. Now, the point of this is where this links is going to be super helpful. So other players inside of the community hub will basically be able to search for you either by name or filter out players based on tags. So we then have an in-house looking for game system, and overall I would say a closer community rather than relying on Discord servers, which can actually block you out if you're not, you know, a certain top 500 rank over seasons. Okay, so for the ranked experience. Now, personally, I was thinking a lot about this one, and I actually would love to go back to that closed beta 2 era, and I've actually said this multiple times. But basically, if you didn't know, we actually had 3 rounds in the tournament to play instead of 4, and personally, I felt like it was better, right? So at the time, a lot of the top players I asked with did agree with me, but basically the reason why is because this change would basically decrease the queue times and be less of a time commitment for players each tournament run. I also feel that indirectly it would put more players in fairer matches as well, so, you know, because, you know, the matchmaker doesn't need to expand as much to accept diamond players when trying to find players to fill in silver and gold games, for example. Of course, we obviously have to have the elo system back in place because arrows indicating your progress right now is just outright annoying and inaccurate, but I'm pretty sure Embark already know this and will be working on something for Season 3. Honestly, I feel like the actual mode itself, when you're actually playing the game, it actually feels fine, especially in ranked, right? I mean, obviously there are smaller things within it, right? I mean, there are instances where players have seen teams work together to help each other qualify, and that was actually pretty common before the private lobbies. Basically, right now, if you guys don't know, there are kind of hidden secret like scrims or queue snipe Discord servers where teams queue up ranked at the same time and then sometimes even help each other qualify to get to the final round so that they can play against each other. I actually had that happen against me a few times, but back then I kind of understood it, right? There wasn't a private lobby system, so I hope that we don't see this now. I haven't played as much ranked this season so far, but yeah, it's a massive negative for people who aren't trying to be a top player and really should only exist in private lobbies. So obviously we're waiting for the next potential game mode to be added into the game, and shout out to Rockhound for hosting a cool poll with the question, what game mode would you like to see in the finals? Now obviously people want to start to see that shift away from the cash out mode, which does obviously go against the game, but I do think that's fine. 50% of people say that they would love to see a capture the flag mode, 24% team deathmatch, and 10% search and destroy. I think a good point I'll raise here is the argument that the finals isn't being as unique following adding these game scenarios, but from a new player journey, I think that all of these are actually pretty damn good. Well, why, would you ask me? You know, we want uniqueness sticks, we don't want the same stuff from other games. Well, firstly, the cash out mode, right, from a brand new player perspective is pretty damn confusing, right? We can all agree with that. So having a mode that you know, most FPS players are used to, kind of similar to Power Shift, definitely helps that kind of barrier for entry into learning the game further. I would say that it doesn't stop Embark from basically adding their twist on the game mode, right? Like, for example, if it was capture the flag, maybe the flag holder is granted with a boost in abilities, damage, or destruction. I think that this game is kind of primed for those unique additions and ideas that not even I thought of, right? We know that these devs can cook damn well, but it's just, I think it's the time is needed for them to be added into the game. Also, my sponsor progression idea was actually very well received, which is awesome because I believe it's something the community would really enjoy. As a refresher, I basically mentioned that the game would have different approaches to progression than what we have now. And I'll explain here the reason for this is because I believe that this area of the game is actually pretty damn bland and was a huge opportunity miss for Embark. Sure, when you first play the game, there is a cool intro screen, but after that, you're kind of left out of the immersion of even being recognized in the game that you're a player or any progression. It's almost as if something is quite missing in this area, and I believe that this is actually a perfect solution to make the game a little bit more personal and then also reactive to your commitment. Now, I don't know the lore of the game in terms of how the game reacts to new seasons, but roughly each season you would start off as a rookie if it's your first time playing, so basically there's easier challenges or an easier introduction. But if you've played in the seasons previously, you would start off again as a contestant, someone that's already proven their worth in previous seasons. And then you would obviously grind and work up for better titles each season. You would then have a bit more of a personal touch with June in the game, and the reason for June is because she's there for you when you're loading into the practice range for moral support, because, you know, solo queue is solo queue. But this kind of means that June has the time to commit to each contestant on a personal level lore-wise, right? So why not have June kind of introduce you to the concept and theory of fame as you play the game and earn fame? June's kind of there to be like your kind of hype man, woman, I don't know, just a guess. But, you know, basically say things like, you're really starting to make a name for yourself out there. Sponsors are flowing in, and I've got the best choices lined up for you. Embark, if you want a voice actor, I'm available for hire, okay? But basically, you know, it's just that personal feeling because, you know, right now you're in the main menu or progressing and it's just kind of silent with obviously, you know, the awesome music. Anyways, the sponsors, for example, can be chosen for either the entire season or the half the season. I haven't got into like logistics of my idea, but basically you would start off with an opener contract, right? You have to prove your worth, but you still get like kind of smaller cosmetics for the game. Then after proving yourself and reaching certain fame levels, you start to kind of snowball these contracts to unlock better items. For contracts, you know, skins, cosmetics, etc. You know, we could lead this back into the tags for the community hub, for example. There's loads of potential with these ideas. Maybe you get rewarded for wearing the sponsor you've chosen's outfits and completing the objectives, for example. Just a really cool interactive journey. Also, I was thinking every 2 weeks or on X day of the week, for example, you could have like a special sponsor clash mode, which could be active as an event. Then I was thinking that this event could be actively run by Embark, for example, Oscar, who's doing a great job at community outreach.
Oi, oi, oi. Just like that, the game never happened.
It's an event which people are excited to basically participate in each week, right? That's something that hasn't really been close to me since the very early days of Xbox, right? If anyone remembers, they actually used to have 1 versus 100, which was really fun, even though I had no idea about the questions, but it was just that, you know, getting on at a specific time of day of week, where everyone would just kind of all get online together and wait in a lobby to potentially be chosen as the 1 or as the 100 that would go against them to win Xbox points, which you could then go on to buy games, DLC, and stuff like that. But yeah, it would be ran as a game show, right? It would be an event that Embark would have, and they would make it like graphically look nice, and you know, the host Oscar could, you know, be like the commentator of it. You know, during the match there could be objectives like, you know, first sponsor to reach X cash out amount first wins, as an example. You know, there could be a cosmetics for a reward, and obviously XP. The board in game shows the current score versus the sponsor, and you know, there's a leaderboard highlighting random stats that Embark see cool, right? So, you know, not everyone's sweating playing the Scar, for example. Maybe instead of in-game events, there's like a power event where players are actually asked to get eliminations using a random weapon from a selection with triple the XP or cash out for rewards, for example. If they do, you know, everyone, you know, suddenly switches to using the melee weapon, for example, but you know, they can still use the run guns they want. Next up is the customization of the game. Now there's 2 sections in this, but the simplest one first is the ability to customize the UI. As I said in my Season 2 video, the current experience for the game is suitable for new players finding their ground, with the large icons showing cash outs and down players, helping make it obvious what the goal is in the game. However, once you start getting used to the game, these do become quite annoying and invasive to your own gameplay, right? You know, I really love the ability to be able to customize between a full mode like we have now and a compact mode where the icons are, you know, less invasive by being smaller or even not appearing like, you know, the health of the players. Obviously, this would be the same with the ping system. Right now, they are sometimes inaccurate, not pinging where we want, or just outright annoying when a teammate pings and forgets to remove it. Apex Legends is an example of a ping system which is both informative and non-invasive at the same time. So if Embark wants to keep their current one for new players, but the option to add a compact one, then of course I'm all for it. Finally, I wanted to talk about the private match system. This has potential to obviously be a great place for things like custom games, and even though it's called private matches, I still think that it would be cool to actually have the ability to host the lobbies online so other people can join with the ability to kick them, maybe again through that community hub. Within these lobbies, being able to customize many things like in games such as Black Ops, for example, and save the customization would be massive. You know, you could bring back those old, like, Mike Myers lobbies, for example, you know, cops and robbers, etc., by, you know, having, like, forced loadouts, but it would kind of be more than that, right? You could change the global running speed, the spread of your weapon, the destruction multiplier, the health values, for example. Just make it a really fun custom lobby to mess around in completely casually. I do think that there obviously could be negatives to this, right, in which, you know, players are just very, well, you know, right now they're quite toxic against Embark, but you know, they start to become like a professor in game balancing, right? And they might say things like, my custom game should be the standard for the full game, for example. But overall, if Embark can do it, then this would be really, really fun to use. Obviously Spectator mode, but that is coming very soon as well, and I actually have some things coming to this channel when that is the case. I have probably missed something that I'll, you know, definitely be annoyed about, but I hope this is a good overall blanket of things that I'd like to kind of see arrive in the finals anytime from now up into 2025 and beyond. If there's anything you think I missed, then let me know and we could talk about that. I don't know how long I'll kind of stay on this relevancy for the finals, but I am trying my best to make unique videos, unique ideas, and kind of hold it for as long as I can. And that's all on you guys, you know, coming to this channel, watching my videos, liking them and commenting. I don't know how long I can hold it up for. Maybe soon, you know, I'll be completely washed. But anyway, that's all from me. My name's been Dix, and I'll see you on the podium.